Christmas time in the Appalachias. What a wonderful time of year. Now I'm going to share a little story with you about the way it was I was growing up when I was a small child in the early 60s. Such a wonderful time of year. And it don't matter what town you come from up and down these Appalachias or even rural America. All these little small towns was the same way. They all had their own little traditions. And we all loved Christmas time and loved to celebrate it with their families. And we always tried to provide for the ones that were less fortunate than we was. So I hope you enjoy this little story of Christmas in the Appalachias. Well, Thanksgiving's come and gone. Where everybody's back to work and we're back in school. But it's Christmas time's a coming and we know it. We try to get a hold of these Montgomery Ward wish books if we can get a hold of one. We like to look at the toys in them. We loved looking at them, us kids did. And we try to get our letters to Santa to the North Pole as early as possible, trying to help our little brothers and sisters write them. And we'd hoping that our dreams and wishes would come true. And he'd read our letter if we'd been good enough to get what we wanted for Christmas. Now, Mom said it's time to go get a Christmas tree. We never bought no store Christmas trees. We'd always go up here. There's too many strip jobs and old mine sites in the mountains, so we'd always get one. Seemed like over in Tennessee, at Ma's house, it had better trees than anything, them cedars. Now, it never snowed that much here at Christmas, but we have got them from time to time, but not very often. And we'd find us an old tree here, and we'd drag it home. We'd cut it down out of the woods. We'd drag it home, put it on top of the car, and if we could, we had an old pickup, we'd take it home. And the family would kind of all get together and decorate on it. And it would kind of look like this. Either an old cedar tree most of the time. Now, early one Saturday morning, usually the first Saturday or second Saturday in December, they had the parade. So my uncle would come and get us since my dad was working. But here's what he was driving this time, a 61 Ford Fairlane. But my goodness, it looks like another finger mashing Ford to me. Any two-door Ford is a finger masher. And we head on into Middlesboro with him. And he's going to take us around town here today. We stopped here at Woolsworth to do a little Christmas shopping with him. And we got to see some sights. And I got with my brothers and one of my cousins I think was with me that day. And we got to sit and tell Santa what we wanted for Christmas. Everybody remembers that. And after that, I like to look in these windows. It's just like a live wish book to me. Things you wish you could get. You'd have to fight around all the other kids just to get in there to look at them. But you hear the parade going on in the distance, getting started. So we shuffle down the street there and scatter out there, trying to get in position. We figure out, well, we're going to get us some candy today. Let's see how we can do it. We wait everybody going down the parade here, all the different little exhibitions and cars and trucks and tractors and the bands, and they're real nice. But there he is, the big guy himself, Santa Claus. He's waving and he's throwing candy too. But we wait for our chance, and we didn't care. We'd run right out in the middle of the street, right in front of all the parade people. We're gonna get us some candy. But you had to fight with all the other little boys too. Well, we got some. Well, we get back in that old Ford of my uncle's there, and we head down the road with him. He's got some errands to run. He had to stop and get him a few groceries here, the old grocery store. So we waiting on him in the car. And he has to head on up the top of Cudjoe's on top of Cumberland Mountain, get him some cigarettes. and we head on back up the holler, back on through Minnesboro up to the mining camp, back to the house. And later that evening, Dad gets off, and we get in the original finger mashing Ford. I mean the original finger mashing Ford. And we head to Mammy's house, my mama. Mom and Dad's got shopping to do, so they drop us off at Mammy's. But always a bunch of cousins there with me too. But at Mammy's, I could run wild and free around the house. I loved it so much. Well, when it got late in the evening, we'd get in the house, and me and these cousins, we'd start horse playing or something. I always led into one thing or another, bunch of rowdy kids. And one of them would drop a whatnot over, and my goodness, that we're going to have that. So Mammy, she'd pull us all up close. It's story time again, and we love to hear them stories. We love to hear them. She'd talk about the little old girl that was mean all the time, sashing her parents, and she got lost one day, and she was trying to find her way home for Christmas, and she couldn't find her way home. And that was a sad story, but the way she told it, she would scare you to death. Well, we'd all be scared of the dark after we hear one of Mammy's stories. That's just the way it was. Now, we didn't mind going to the outhouse outside during the day. It wasn't too bad. It's just cold this time of year. But at night, after Mammy's stories, you don't dare go towards that bathroom. It's just too scary. So we'd all have to line up and use this slop jar. And I mean, we had to use it too. And we'd lay all in this bed here, all of us piled up, cousins every which way. Sometimes 2 rooms would be full of us. But we'd lay there, and I'd lay there and think all the time of her stories, every story she told. I'd look at that window, and then I'd look back, and then I'd look back again, and I'd think I'd see that little girl that was lost looking in that window trying to find her way home. So I'd finally just lay there and finally go to sleep. Well, the next day, Mammy's up cooking us breakfast, and we'd help her around the house all we could. We helped her do her chores. Then Mom and Dad would show up, and we'd get in that finger mashing Ford, and we'd head to the house. Now, on the Sunday just before Christmas, whenever that was, we'd go to church. Of course, we'd go to church every Sunday morning. Dad would make sure that we went. Now, since it was Sunday before Christmas, the church would always get together, and we'd been working on it all week in the evenings, making up treat bags. They'd give them out. Even the kids would make their own little bags. And they really enjoyed that. It was an everything Sunday before Christmas. And here's a picture of me and my dad when we used to go to church with him when I was a little old bitty thing. Now, they'd make up these bags, and they'd make up these boxes too, and we'd give them after church on Sunday afternoon. We'd go to the mining camps, way back in these hollers, these remote places, and give them to the unfortunate people that didn't have much, that was really having a hard time. And here's some of the families. House full of kids, man working in what he could work. They just didn't have much, and they was just less fortunate than us, and the church tried to take care of them, and we done all we could do for them. Now, on a Sunday evening, on that Christmas time, we all been practicing to be in a Christmas play. Of course, it was just us little kids celebrating the birthday of Jesus. We was all so shy, but we enjoyed doing it. And that night, this is about the time that Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer started coming on TV. I can remember that so well. If the TV is working and you could twist the antenna a certain way, we'd get to watch it. And I loved watching them when I was little. And I'd lay there in that bed that night on Christmas Eve, just thinking Santa's on his way. Have I been good or has I been bad? And wonder when he's going to get here. And you lay there trying to go to sleep, but you couldn't. But you eventually go to sleep. And you sleep up into the night. And I could swear to this day that I thought early one morning before daylight, I heard a sled slide off the top of the roof. I still believe that. What was that noise? But anyway, you get up and you run in there at the Christmas tree, you and your little brothers, and Christmas did come. Now, we didn't get a whole bunch, but my dad made sure, and Mom, that we always got something for Christmas. Always. Might not have been a lot, but we got something. And we'd get in that finger mashing Ford on Christmas morning. After we got up, got our stuff all straightened up, and we'd head towards Mammy's. We didn't go to Miles this time, we went to Mammy's on Christmas. And women would all get together, and they'd cook a real good dinner. And us kids would be running around everything, but we wouldn't run around much, because the parents was there with you. They kept you under control. But still, you still get into these little old fights every once in a while. And here's what I got one Christmas, my first car. I barely can remember that. I wished I still had that. And here's with one of my cousins at Christmas Day at Mammy's. And us boys, no matter what's going on, we'd have to get in a fight. That's just the way it is. But the parents being there, especially Daddy and my uncles, they stopped that real quick. Well, anyway, we had one really nice dinner. Always got together. The house would be full. So we really had a nice dinner of anything you wanted to eat. People sitting around in every room eating. So we really enjoyed that. That's just a little story I told when I was growing up in southern Appalachia in a small town. And I know y'all got a lot of memories too of growing up like this. Some better, some worse. But I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. So, y'all take care, enjoy the holidays, and I'll see you next time.